Welcome to the Thought Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Isabella Sanchez Castañeda. Let's jump right in. Welcome back to the Thought Leaders Podcast. Today, I have Mikhaila, who is a coach for MedSpa and aesthetic service providers, professionals, everything from making their very first penny to making multiple millions of dollars. And I have to be honest, I am so unfamiliar with this whole industry and just getting an understanding of what the struggles are of a med spa or aesthetics business. What is that main thing that you are seeing right now that these professionals are complaining about?
Oof, that can be so widely varied, but I think the biggest complaint is making sure everyone is staying fully booked. It's an issue for solo estheticians and lash techs, and it's an issue for even huge franchises. People want to make sure that they're making the best of their time. And yeah, just staying fully booked is everyone's primary concern.
And what does being fully booked look like for, say, like an injectables and that kind of spa?
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just making sure that 7 days in advance minimum that you have all of your hours filled. Like this is your business, this is your 9 to 5, and you want to make sure you have work for every hour of your 9 to 5. And that is kind of like the core element of making sure that you stay. But
I love that. And the are the folks that you're working with really looking to scale, or are they looking for more of a lifestyle business, or is it everything in between?
everyone is looking to scale. I think that's something that's really exciting about this industry is I work exclusively with boss babes and boss men, but so many people who are attracted to the aesthetic or the medical aesthetic industries, like I say my ideal client is winners. There are people who love to make money, love to grow their business. They want to be successful. They want to be multi-million dollar breadwinners. I think that's wonderful. So, yeah, those are the sort of people that I'm attracting, and they want to scale. Obviously, an element of that is lifestyle. I've had single mothers, I've had people who are still in school, and we work them to part time, or even some of my clients we've completely removed from their own business.
I really love the fact that you were clear about the goal. You're not skirting around it. You're not trying to hide the fact that people get into their business, and specifically in aesthetics businesses, to make money, to obviously serve people, but you're not going to serve people for free. And you really started because you experienced being a winner in this industry yourself first. Can you take me back to you're opening your first business? You were seeing success pretty quickly. What was that all like for you?
It was too easy, and I realize now why. Because I had been a medical marketer for years at that point, and so many people think that the things that are important in growing a business that like they're wrong. You're completely wrong about what's important in growing a business. First and foremost, the most important skill is marketing. You can be offering terrible services, and you can be terrible at offering those services, but if you're a great marketer, you can make a lot of money. So when I started my med spa, I was primarily offering hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and I was just marketing it to people who needed it. There were a lot of chronically ill people in the area. They wanted to feel better. Lots of athletes who wanted to perform at their best. So I was connecting with those people with their language, and I booked out my med spa. It was in less than 2 months. Yeah, it was in less than 2 months. It was really fast.
Wow. And so this skill of marketing, I think we hear so much about it. We hear so many different variations, but you're one of the first people that I've heard say it's easy. It can be easy. It was almost too easy for you. And I'm like, okay, what's the secret sauce? What's the thing that you are teaching people to say that no one else is right now?
I think when it comes down to speaking to people, you need to know who they are and you need to know who you are. That's the most important thing. So many people, when you ask them who their ideal client, they'll say, "Oh, I want someone with lots of money." Okay. I want you to say, "I want Bridget. I want Bridget in Schaumburg, Illinois. I want her to have 3 children. I want her to be a single mom. I want her to have had a skiing accident in 3rd grade." Like, I want you to really get so clear about who you're talking to. Now, obviously, I'm being like a little exaggerative with all of this, but you need to know who you're speaking to first and foremost for them to hear you. And when you speak just to that person, they will listen. Have you ever seen those little TikToks where they're like, happy birthday, and it happens to be your birthday?
Mm-hmm.
You're sticking around, right? Like, the algorithm got you. The algorithmed, right? That's all you really need to do, is speak so clearly to people about who they are and what they want and how you have that.
Wow. And so, like, let's walk this out, right? You have someone who has, let's say, a lashes business, and they have
Mhm.
their Bridget. They're like, I know she needs these lashes. But they're sitting there talking about, the different styles, and they know Bridget and they know their service, but there's still something that's not connecting.
I see. So in this scenario, this lash tech, they're not attracting clients.
Yeah, like they're, getting their they've followed the advice of, hey, like get your avatar and get this all set, and then they're not being able to connect with them. Maybe there's this like missing piece in their marketing, even though they have that avatar.
Okay, I see. So sometimes it's, who am I talking to? And then sometimes the question is, do they want to talk to me? So you may have this very clear avatar in business. You know who you want in your aesthetic practice, but are you who they want? And
Oh.
are you showing up like Bridget's buddy? Because if you are marketing to Bridget like this, like really techie guy, if you're using like really unappealing speech or visuals, or if I come into your lash spa to have you lash me and it's just not my vibe, like maybe you have really intense rap playing and like graffiti on the walls, and that's very cool. That's going to attract certain types of clients. You're going to get like the trendy Gen Z millennials in there. But if you were talking to Bridget, I'm assuming you wanted like the older posh woman, and you're not going to attract her that way. So, yeah, like, are you being who Bridget wants you to be?
Mm. And is the solution to that, I guess, like change Bridget and make it Brittany, who is in her mid 20s? Or is it change the aesthetics? Like, how do you parse through that with a client?
That is very nuanced. I would definitely look at your business and figure out like what your current services are and who you are as a person, because sometimes we're lying to ourselves. Sometimes we think that Brittany likes us, but we're a Bridget girl. Um, so just kind of being clear, like, who are the sort of people who I attract in my own life? Who's spending time with me in my own life and laughing at my jokes and connecting with me? Chances are that person is much more likely to be your ideal client. So figure out, who are you attracting in your life, and then consider whether or not they may not be that client, and if so, you would adjust your branding to speak to that person.
And that takes a lot of self-awareness and business awareness, I think. And something that gets in the way, I know you talk about this often, something that gets in the way of that is this chasing of like, they're not booked out. So they're right next, like they're just looking for that next one-off client. But you really preach memberships. And
Mm.
I'm so curious, how does that change just the approach to an aesthetics business when they opt into a membership model?
It's absolutely life changing. It's life changing for the finances in the business, because an issue in the aesthetic industry is, at the end of the day, you're essentially like a contractor. You only make money if people book and show up. and you're able to execute those services, right? So, inevitably, no matter how well you run your business, you are going to have one month where more people book and show up, and another month where less people book and show up. By creating a membership model in your business, you create financial consistency for yourself. You never have to have that horrible anxiety where you're asking yourself, will I be able to pay my bills this month? Will I be able to pay my team this month? The question's already answered because you have consistent recurring revenue that you can count on.
You've had so many clients in such a range of places, and I can just hear that there's somebody listening who is saying that works for all of them, but memberships are not going to work for me in my particular business. Why is it that it does work for so many people?
First off, I would say, in the kindest way possible, you're not special. Every single person who hops on a discovery call with me thinks that they're this magical unicorn person that somehow memberships just can't work for them. Everyone. That is like the number one thing I hear. Well, I've tried them before. They didn't work. I only have a couple members. I don't think it'll apply to my industry. I have created memberships that are completely groundbreaking and unheard of in the industry. I created a nail tech membership. You can't tell me that I can't make a membership for you because that's what I do all day, every day. And I make memberships that make you money.
I love that. What does a nail tech membership look like?
So, a nail tech membership, this was really fun. So, creating like a base model of services that you're willing to offer. So, if someone's just like consistent with acrylics, then you would have a certain amount of sizes that they're allowed to have, a certain amount of designs that they're allowed to have, and then they'll automatically rebook every 3 to 4 weeks, and they pay a flat rate. And it's great
Mm.
for you because like for someone like me, I'll push off when I do my nails and you end up losing money. Or I'll be like, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm just gonna like stop for a month or two and then I go back. You have clients for life when you turn them into members because when you have a membership, you don't actually think you're spending money. It's girl math, but you show up and you're like, this is free. You come,
That is so true.
exactly, you do your nails, you leave, no money exchanged hands that you saw, and you feel really great about it. So yeah, that's a big part of how it works is the psychology behind it. People don't feel like they're spending money. It's free.
Wow. And this is so interesting, especially because we went with the nail tech example, because you had this thread where you were like, why did you stop? You were asking the people, like, why did you stop using an aesthetic service? And I responded with my nails, and they're crusty, so I'm not going to show them on camera right now. And it was just a change in priorities. And I could totally see how if my nail tech had just had me on a membership, I would have been like, it's done. It's auto pay. Like it just goes out. Like the
Yeah,
same way that I think of the gym where, now I go to the gym and I'm not thinking, oh, I'm spending $10 here. I'm like, it's just a thing that I do or don't do, but the money's still going out. And it's just so fascinating. But bringing it back to that thread, what were some of the other responses that you got?
I did actually learn some interesting things in that thread about the sort of reasons why people are discontinuing their aesthetic services. There was the obvious one, which is money, which I love memberships for because they make things that are expensive financially attainable. Like if you move into like I work with MedSpas. So if you go and get your Botox done every 3 months, that's $1,100. That's a lot for someone all at once. But if you break that up into a certain amount every month, all of a sudden it's no big deal. It's no problem. So a lot of the issues that exist that I saw people bringing up in that thread are actually resolved with a membership model. Another thing that someone mentioned was a lack of quality. Actually, several people were mentioning that the quality isn't there. That's interesting to me. The aesthetic industry is fundamentally luxury-based services. You don't have to do any of these things. It's not your rent, it's not food, it's not that deep. So, It has to be special. If you are slipping on experience, if you are slipping on quality, your business will fail. And you need to stop convincing yourself that you're so good at what you do because you hear it from a couple people. You need to know. You need to be asking your clients, regularly getting feedback, because there were a lot of people in that thread who are talking about how the quality just wasn't there anymore. And it probably is happening because you're losing passion in your business. And you're losing passion in your business because your business isn't making you money. So it's this cycle that so many aesthetic providers find themselves in, and it ends up where they're going to work and they're feeling depressed. I signed an esthetician, like she just re-signed, so it was 10 months ago. Um, and she said she cried during her services. Quietly, she would literally have tears streaming down her eyes while she was getting facials because she was so overwhelmed with running her business, with not making enough money, with feeling like she wasn't good enough. So I'm not going to say if your quality is dropping, it's not because you're bad, it's because you're tired.
Wow. And the perspective there, right? Where it's not like there is an accountability that needs to be taken of like, let's keep the experience, but then going to that root of like, why did the experience drop? Why did the passion drop? And yeah, I remember in the thread I also responded like I think the sanitation, the like quality of the experience that way, but seeing it now like, oh, well, maybe why did they stop putting in that little extra effort? Why did I stop getting wine when I walked in? Like they
Mm-hmm.
were probably looking at that wine being like, this is a very large expense, you know? So the experience of these service providers who have lost a bit of passion, maybe lost a bit of that experience, their first conclusion might be, oh, it's the economy. It's not me. It's just people don't want to spend on this anymore. What do you have to say to that service professional?
To that professional, I will say I'm not going to gaslight you and say that the economy doesn't matter. The economy does matter, but you and your business matter more. There are clients, my clients, who are making more money than they ever have, and we are on how many years of a silent recession? Inflation is absolutely insane. Grocery prices are ridiculous. Yet I have clients who are making more money than they ever have. So don't think that you've already lost. There's so much potential to win. It's just that you need to know how to market when the economy is down. There are actually ways for you to use it to your advantage to make even more money. But you cannot keep doing things the way you were doing them in 2005 and think that you are going to have 2005 results. There must be a degree of accountability. I recently did an audit for an aesthetic provider, and right off the bat, I looked at their marketing. It took me 10 seconds. I was like, everything's wrong. So much needs fixed. I gave this person, and this was free. This was an online offer I was doing where I do a free audit. I say that because that matters. People who are willing to invest in themselves are often the same people who are willing to put in the effort, because I gave this failing business step by step instructions. It would have cost them a lot of money had they paid for that information, and I just gave it to them. They did not act on any of it. They're still complaining in threads about the economy. So, at what point do you ask yourself, is it the economy or is it me?
Absolutely. I want to go back. You said there's a way to market your aesthetics business in a way when the economy's down and use that to your advantage. I'm like, what does that look like?
So that can be interesting, and it really depends on the exact industry that we're talking about, how you would approach that. So, like a lash tech would be so different from a med spa. But what I have found, always I'm going to preach memberships, is people are switching to membership models that are making really expensive services financially attainable, and they are now opening up their clientele to people who would have never considered them in the past. Going to a med spa, you're going to spend minimum $400. There are a lot of people who will just not spend that money. They'd rather spend it on something else that they deem more important. People are having to adapt to the current economy by changing their pricing model and changing the way that they offer their services. And in the process of that adaptation, we have found that you can make more money and connect with new people that you weren't connecting with before.
Absolutely. Is it similar to almost like a sneaky financing? Maybe let's not say sneaky, but like it's almost like a financing without having to get a loan. You're just kind of a little layaway for the services almost.
Exactly. It's essentially financing, but you don't have to go and have this big conversation with your husband about it. Like, can our credit take the hit? Right? It's like Netflix. You just, can I
Mm,
afford $80 a month? Yes. Great. Can I afford a loan for $80 a month? Well, I don't know about that. It's gonna take my credit, they're gonna have to do a check. And then all of a sudden, I'm thinking about interest. And then what happens if I can't pay it? What if there's this huge emergency? Then what sort of penalties am I going to have? Whereas a membership, like obviously, if you sign a contract and say you're going to pay a membership, the classy thing to do is to do it. But, you get hit by lightning, your life falls apart, you cancel your membership, your credit's fine.
yeah. And also, because you brought up the Netflix example, the the person on the side of the business, right, might not use that service that month or might not, or might take a little bit of time the way that we do Netflix, where we're not always watching Netflix, but canceling it and restarting it is too much of a hassle. So it also provides that little bit of cushion to the business, right?
Yes, it does. And that's very helpful for you knowing that you have money each and every month, even if your client is experiencing a circumstance change that results in them not coming in when typically they would have wanted to. Now, personally, I think to be ethical and to be someone who your client wants to continue having a membership with, it's great to offer something for those circumstances. So, for a lot of my memberships, I allow certain aspects of them to be gifted. So, like maybe I'm going out of town last minute for some sort of family emergency. I have a med spa membership. It's $300 a month. If I could just gift the facial to a friend, like, hey, this is on me. I love you. Here's a facial. That feels so much better. So it's true that you are always getting that money, but it would be cool if you found ways to make sure your client was always getting value for their money.
That's really awesome. And also the sneaky thing there, I don't want to say sneaky. Also, the thing there is now you're inviting that friend in and you're saying, hey, come with me. Or, maybe there's, because you have a membership, there's some sort of percentage off if you bring a friend, and you're always growing the business in that way.
Yeah.
And that is so amazing. And I want to be able to have the people listening to this send it to a friend or maybe use your services themselves. How can they start working with you and get their med spa or their aesthetics business all the way together?
I think the first thing to do is just say hi. You can follow me on Instagram. It's MedSpa Coach. Check out my website, MikhailaMcNamara.com. I won't even attempt to spell that for you. I
It will be in the show notes. It's okay.
I don't know why I chose my real name, which is Russian and incredibly hard to spell. But if you want to work with me, I have multiple packages, but the simplest and the best is to work with me one to one. I think group programs can be wonderful, but I have personally found that I can get my clients the best results when it's just me and you, my eyes on your business. Like, you're not talking to my co coach, you're not talking to my friend, you're talking to me. We are working together on your goals, on what you need to accomplish at your season in your business, instead of just whatever is mapped out next in a pre created program. So I have my one to one offer. That's a 6-month commitment, and I have all of my clients make the entirety of the investment back in the first 30 days. That's something I'm very excited about. That way, people never have to think twice about the investment because it's my job to make you money. So I shouldn't cost you money. That's my thought. It's my job to pay for myself. Once I'm on the books, I got to get to work. So that's $650 a month for 6 months in 1-to-1.
That's amazing. And you have some amazing client results. Like, as one of the first things on your Instagram, like, there are people who have made their first penny working with you, and people who have grown their team, grown and gotten booked out, and just seen incredible results. So, I want the listeners to go check you out, to go understand all of these amazing tips. And even if you're not in the aesthetics business, I get a lot from your content, just like in a completely different industry. So, it's so cool. Thank you again for sharing all of this thought leadership with us today. And hopefully, people will be checking you out.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. It's been fun.